Hey, thanks for joining today. All right, let's get right into it. How did my client lose $250,000? Is honestly tough even saying that. I'm gonna explain, okay? But first I have a question for you. When you started your business, when you filed your LLC or applied for your EIN or even created your Google My Business profile, tell me, what address did you use? Think about it, because it may have been a long time ago. But what address did you use? If I were to Google your small business, if I were to pull up the directions, where would it lead me? Would it lead me to your home or your apartment complex? If so, you're not alone. We're going to get into it today. But this one mistake cost my client $250,000. Feel bad, but don't feel too bad. This is not just a mistake that new business owners make. My average client has been in business for over 3 years. They are generating anywhere from, and this is average, okay? They're generating anywhere from 300,000 to over $1 million. And I still have clients at that level who have made this mistake and it's costing them dearly. I'm going to share with you what you need to do to fix that issue later in this video, but let's get right into this story. How did my client lose $250,000? All right, as we all know, during 2020 and 2021, the federal government gave billions of dollars to small businesses in the form of grants and loans, and those included the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which was very popular but very controversial, especially with the EIDL Advance, which was a $10,000. Basically, it was a grant that everybody and their mama and their cousin were taking this money. But the loan was the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And they also offered PPP, or Paycheck Protection, which got just as much flack because of all the scammers. But anyway, billions of dollars were available for small business owners. My client owns a restaurant, and this restaurant is a popular franchise. This client was offered $750,000. Unfortunately, because of this mistake that I'm describing to you, this client was only able to take $500,000, and I'm going to share with you why. When SBA came out with EIDL 2.0 in August 2021, and no, it was not a new EIDL program. This was just every 3 to 4 months, they were changing the rules, making things more simplified, making things easier to understand. So we in the industry called it EIDL 2.0. Well, what happened at that point is they increased the available loan amount from $500,000 to $2 million for qualifying small business owners. The only thing about that is if you got over $500,000, then SBA was required to put a lien on whatever real estate collateral that your business owned. Now, this didn't mean that you got denied if you did not have real estate collateral. For instance, if you're an online business, you may not have any real estate, or your business may not own any real estate collateral. So businesses didn't necessarily get denied if they didn't have real estate collateral. But if they did have real estate collateral, at least their business, then SBA put a loan on that real estate asset in order to make sure that the EIDL loan gets paid back. So how did this affect my client, and why should you avoid using your home address for business whenever possible? And I'm not talking about just using a cousin or family member or neighbor's address. We're going to talk about how should you operate as a business when it comes to your corporate address. Okay, my client was offered $750,000. This client has a restaurant, but their corporation does not own real estate. They rent the space where the restaurant is located. So the only collateral they have is equipment. They should have been able to just take that $750,000 that was offered to them. But when I looked at the fine details, I found that the corporate address that was listed on all official documentation, including the EIDL application, was my client's personal home. So if my client were to take the $750,000, they would put their personal home, which was and is 100% paid off, in jeopardy. So my professional advice to this client was, hey, don't take $750,000. I think we need to cap it at $500,000. My client agreed, and unfortunately, they missed out on $250,000, but it was in their best interest. So how does this affect you? You may not have $250,000 on the line with SBA, but using your home address, it diminishes credibility. It directly affects your privacy, right? Because if your home address is listed anywhere for your business, people can literally show up at your home. And I have heard of this situation happening personally. I've taken consultation calls where individuals have discussed with me their frustration when clients or customers just show up at their homes. And finally, this just increases your liability, right? You're susceptible to whatever. Let's not even discuss if you have a angry client or customer. Now, in 2023, people can find your information on all types of platforms, but if you can protect yourself and your business at the same time, why not do it? Now, before we discuss what your options are for a business address, I do want to make this point because I know that I have people watching who are just starting their business, and then I have another group of people who are seasoned business owners. There is nothing wrong with having a home-based business, okay? I have clients in all different types of industries. So maybe you're a real estate agent and you have a home office, but you see clients out in the field. So that would be considered a home-based business. Now, guys, I'm not a CPA or an accountant. This is not financial advice. This is just based on my 17 years experience as an entrepreneur. Okay. If you are a hairstylist and maybe you have an accessory dwelling at the rear of your property and you do hair out of that accessory dwelling, but you live in the main house, that would be considered a home-based business, right? Many people have home-based businesses. I'm at home right now. So again, there's nothing wrong with having a home-based business. However, you can have a separate address that is listed on all your official documentation as your corporate address. The only issue that I have seen is when you try to use it for a bank account, depending on what kind of address that you use, whether that is a physical address or virtual address, it matters then, but we're going to discuss that just a little bit later on in the video. Okay, when it comes to setting up your business address, you have two options. Either you can have a physical location, which honestly, if it doesn't make sense for your business, it can be quite costly. So I don't always recommend that unless it's absolutely necessary. And then the other option that you have is a virtual address. Now, if you're a lawyer or a doctor or your business requires an in-person experience, then of course you probably already have a physical location. But like my client, you do need to double check and make sure on your corporate documentation, your IRS documentation, that if all possible, that physical address is there and not your home address. When we start our businesses initially, we have a tendency to want to put our home address, especially let's say you're a doctor and you had just come out of residency and you were ready to open your own practice. When you started your business, you may have put down your home address because you didn't have a physical location yet. But now that you have a physical location, I highly recommend that you look at your documents and you go ahead and make the change. Some of you may be a little overwhelmed or may not have time to do that. So if you have more questions about, well, I did initially establish my business using my home address, but now I have a physical location and I want to make the change, how do I go about doing that? See the link down in the description below and schedule a call with me and we can go over and discuss it and figure out your particular situation. Otherwise, if your business does not require a physical location and you are maybe just starting out, a suggestion that I have is a virtual office. And this is what I use personally. So for those of you who don't know, what is a virtual office? A virtual office is an address that you can use on your official documentation. Usually you are able to get mail sent there. And typically it's an actual location that you can use. You can get mail sent there. You can go in to pick up your mail. And then oftentimes the best benefit is the fact that they give you an online portal where you can go in and forward your mail directly to your house if the location is in another state or far away. or you can have them open your mail and you can view it online. Okay, now what's the downside to a virtual address? Oftentimes, banks have gotten very savvy with being able to do research on your business when you want to open up a bank account with them because of fraud. So they may not allow you to use a virtual address. Okay, but the IRS, if you use it for your IRS documentation, that may be perfectly okay. So that's like the only issue I found. Now you have different types of virtual address services, and I'm going to go over the ones that I personally use. And I'm going to tell you, because I've gone through all of this, guys. I literally have been an entrepreneur for 17 years. So I do a lot of research. I have to look up tools and resources for myself. So I'm going to give you the top 2 that I actually use, and then I'm going to give you some other options, and I'll tell you why. So there is one more downside to using a virtual address, and this is dependent on which type of service that you use, you may or may not be able to use that address on Google My Business. And the reason why is Google My Business will do an automatic search of your location, and based on their system, their algorithms, if they determine that that is not a physical location where you can see customers, they may not allow you to use that address, but that's okay, because you can, through your Google My Business profile, all you have to do is set that your business is a virtual business and no address is necessary. Okay, so that's something that we can overcome. Now, let's talk about the 2 companies that I use. The first, which is my favorite company, is called Opus. And the reason it's my favorite company is because the locations that they have are real offices. I can actually schedule a meeting with clients in that office as long as I request the time within my dashboard. And I believe that the office time, they give you so many hours for free each year. So I really like that feature. I like the fact that my mail is sent there, that if you were to Google my business's address, it looks like I'm in a skyscraper. So I like Opus from that perspective, but the greatest benefit that I feel they have is with the monthly fee that I pay $109 per month. You get a receptionist who answers any incoming call to your business. So I have a phone number through Opus. Opus allows for you to have a local number and a toll-free number. I believe the toll-free number is just a little bit extra, but again, I pay $109 per month for all of these services that they provide. So if I were to call my business phone number through Opus right now, a receptionist, a live American receptionist would say, ABC Biz, thank you for calling ABC Business. How may I direct your call? That makes your business stand out, especially if you're a solopreneur. Now, I know solopreneurs who, like I said, are making anywhere from 300 to over $1 million. And then I definitely know a lot of solopreneurs who are making a lot less. However, if you're bringing in the revenue to be able to pay that $109 per month, it makes a lot of sense because it automatically gives you a receptionist. Now, they will not take notes for you, but they will forward that call to whatever number you have it to be forwarded to. And if you're unavailable to answer the call, then your clients or customers can leave a message. Another thing I like about it is if you are seeking business funding. So I know for 2 examples, if you want a Sam's Club business credit card or a Home Depot or Lowe's business credit card, a lot of times they will call your business phone number to make sure it's legitimate. It is nice to have that little buffer between, you're on one line talking to the representative and they're like, okay, I need to click over. I'm about to call your business phone number to verify. And then they click over and they call. It's much better than you just answering like, hello, and it's you on one line and it's you on the other line. It's a lot better to have that receptionist act as an in-between so that you look more professional as a business owner. Okay, the second virtual address service that I'm going to recommend is another one that I use, and it is called Anytime Mailbox. Okay, so I like Anytime Mailbox because it's cheaper. There are locations, but you can't have meetings there. Usually they are like pack and ship locations that you can go into and you can pick up your mail. But anytime mailbox, I like them as well. They're a whole lot cheaper. They're like $10 a month. So I would say it just depends on where you are in terms of revenue. If you're bringing in the revenue, I highly recommend Opus. If you are still growing and can afford the $10 a month, I recommend Anytime Mailbox. So I'm going to recommend two more. I don't use these two personally, but they are very popular within the entrepreneur space. And that is Regus, Regus. And I'll put that somewhere on the screen for you. Regus is very popular. I found though that it's more expensive than Opus. And I can be frugal when it comes to, because those subscriptions for your business can really add up. So Regis, off the top of my head, I don't know all the details. I don't know whether or not you get a receptionist to answer the phone. I think it may cost more, but Opus was the most cost effective at $109 per month for me, but you may want to check it out because it's recommended very often. Another one that I'm going to recommend is IncFile. IncFile is newer to the space, but they do allow for virtual addresses. Now, if you want to utilize any of these virtual address services, I have included links down below in the description box. With some of them, if you click my link, which I would greatly appreciate because this is my second time recording this video, y'all. I have small children, so a lot of times I end up recording at night. I'm recording during the day right now, but there was something on my face in the last recording, so I had to re-record this. So if you do decide to use one of the virtual address services that I recommended, please consider clicking one of the links down below so that I can get a small commission. All right. So I hope that this information was helpful. If you have any more questions or any more ideas as it pertains to things in business that you need to know or want someone to elaborate on, leave a comment so that I know what it is that you need as a business owner and what it is that you're looking for. Again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the bell notification for future episodes. And hey, even if you stayed this long, you're benefiting from the information that I'm sharing, but you can always pass it along to a friend.